a scientist.
The vices of the blood of 1,000 men and women were filled in these walls. Limbs twisted and broken, eyes gouged from bloody sockets, flesh burned black.
Please. You're with the dead. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences, no mishaps, and no escapes. But you have to realize that we're all just a mouse that a cat has by the tail.
You are listening to 90.9 WQFS. Welcome to Jay Scott's World of the Unexplained. Tonight, your host, Jay Scott, will guide you through the world of the paranormal. If you are faint, weak of heart, or fear the unknown, then turn your radio off now. Otherwise, listen at your own risk.
The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Hi, Lorraine.
Hi.
Hey, Jay Scott. How are you?
Oh, Jay. Oh, my God.
Well, I see that your new book, The Demonologist, is on your website now, available.
Oh, yes.
And,
yes. It hit the New York Times bestseller list in 3 weeks.
Wow. That's amazing.
It is.
And that's for a reissue, too, you know?
Yeah, for reissue, hon.
That's great.
You better believe it's great.
And
It feels that way, too.
so how many copies have you sold, if you don't mind me asking?
I have no idea, honey. All we do is be notified. We haven't got our statement yet. You know, so we don't know. We just got a sheet that told us we were number 8 on the New York Times bestseller list after 3 weeks.
Congratulations. Wow,
Thank you.
that's amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful.
That just tells you how many people are interested in that book or wanted that book.
Oh, yes. We knew that, and we knew the amount of money that people were paying for that book, and that really was sad, you know, that the prices they were paying was absolutely outlandish.
Oh, I know. It's, well, you know, when things go out of print,
Oh, yes.
there's only one way to get them.
They're very much in demand. That's for sure, honey.
Well, I appreciate you coming back on the show for a second time.
You're welcome, dear.
And this is actually going to be broadcast tonight, so
Okay.
so I have my little group of regular listeners out there listening to us. They can check your website out at www.warrens.net and order the new book, actually,
Yes,
there if they want to do that.
Great.
And
That would be really great.
New York Times bestseller. That's wonderful.
Thank you, dear.
Let's go back to. I know you hate to go back there because I'm sure you've been there in every radio interview you've ever done before, a TV interview. But the Amityville Horror, 1974, November 13th, 1974, I believe, was the day that Ronald DeFeo executed his family, basically.
Yes, it is. And that was the exact same time that Ed's mother had passed away. Exact same time.
At
Her death
3:15.
certificate read, yes.
That's eerie.
It is eerie, dear. We agree with you on that. That it is very eerie.
No,
And she, you know, when we left to go on tour, you know, we were not aware that she was close to death. That's for sure. And we were notified while we were at a university in West Virginia. And, but it was 3:15 in the morning of November 13th.
Wow.
Yeah.
When were you and Ed first called into the Amityville
We were
house?
called in 13 months later in February of 1976, to be exact.
All right. And what kind of feeling did you get when you first entered the house?
The immediate feeling was one of terrible depression, because you're in a home that was where horrible tragedies had occurred, and also where a family that had only lived there 28 days fled, and yet you see all of their belongings all around you. Children's toys, gingerbread house, everything. The more you went from room to room, the more you became aware that they just picked up and left just as we would leave our homes tonight, never ever to return. Freezers were full of food, refrigerators were full, dishes were still in the kitchen sink, and plants were sitting on the counter in the kitchen as if they were going to be watered. And it was very sad. It was very, very sad feeling.
Now, I know that the Lutzes, Kathy and George, I know that I'm assuming, I believe that I'd heard that they're no longer married.
No, they're not. They've been divorced now for a while. Kathy is in very, very poor health.
I'm sorry to hear that.
With emphysema. And George is living in Mesa, Arizona. And I've been on the phone with him a few nights within the last couple of months.
Is he doing okay?
He's doing fine. He's doing very, very well.
Now, do you think that the house or whatever was in the house, do you think that contributed to their breakup?
I think there's a very good chance of it, dear. It certainly affected our personal lives more than any case we ever worked on. So I think it certainly took its toll on George and Kathy and the children.
They were what? They were in their mid to late 20s when they actually moved, when they were married and actually moved into the house, correct?
Yes, they were. Actually, I'm just thinking they may have already been in their early 30s.
Oh, okay.
I think so because, no, maybe you're right. Maybe they were still in their late 20s when they moved in.
I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've read Jay Anson's Amityville Horror book.
It may have been. They may have still been. I mean, they really had very high hopes.
Now, for those out there listening for the first time that may not be familiar with the I don't know how, but may not be familiar with the Amityville Horror. I think the statistic was something like 8 out of 10 Americans know about it, or 8 out of 10 people in the world know about it. I'm not sure. I don't remember where I got that statistic from.
Well, I think that was New York Times.
Oh, well, there you go. So I doubt that there's that many people that haven't heard the story. But for those that haven't, that may have seen the movie but haven't heard the actual or read the book or actually, read your case file on it that you've got on the internet on your website.
Yes, they can go right on our website at www.warrens.net because there's really a great deal of information on the Amityville case.
And there's photos also. I think it says there that you have some of the the only photos taken inside the house.
We do. We do have the only photos ever taken inside the home. That's for
there
sure.
You go.
We do.
So Warrens.net, check it out.
That's right. That's where you'll find them.
What, as far as the people that may have seen the film but haven't heard the actual way the events played out, what in the film, after you saw the film, what did you think of it the first time you saw the movie?
Well, I think if they had portrayed it just as it had occurred to the Lutz family, I think it would have been far more frightening.
Yeah.
Because I thought there were aspects of it that they really did not do that great a job with. But had they told it as it really occurred to the whole family, it would have been a lot worse. Where the levitations were concerned, where the just everything about the things that occurred in that home during the period of time. But all Jay Anson had to go by, and of course the movie was based on the book, was tapes, audio tapes that they had made. Although Ed and I did work for Dino De Laurentiis, the producer and director of that movie, and toured throughout the world for it, and told the true story as it really occurred.
Now the priest that was portrayed...
That's Father Pecoraro.
Yeah, Father Pecoraro. Is he still alive?
I don't know. I keep meaning to ask George when I talk to him if Father is still alive. I don't know if Father Ray is still living. I really don't know.
I know that Jay Anson died shortly after.
He died during the period of time, Jay, that he was writing the next book, which was on 666.
Lovely. And I know a lot of other people connected with that have either suffered major health problems or death.
That's
right. As a result.
They did. It was a very, very, very negative case. Very, very negative.
Now
every aspect of it. I mean, even to the effect of how it affected Ronald DeFeo in carrying out that grisly murder. Even to the effect of all of these members of the family all being on their stomach, which there was, I mean, how could you do that?
And shoot the gun. And I know we talked about this last time. How could you not hear a shotgun going off in such a close, cloistered neighborhood like that?
I mean, for one thing, the houses are less than 40 feet apart. It's prime property. It's right on the river.
And it's at 3:15 in the morning.
3:51, yes.
Oh, I mean, but there's nothing going on at that time in the morning.
No.
You know, I mean,
no.
Nothing that would be loud enough that you would miss, a shotgun blast.
3:15. And, no, that's for sure. I mean, if that, just one. Just say somebody, well, my neighbors are a little distance away from me, but just say if somebody shot a gun like that in the home, my God, it would wake up the whole neighborhood.
Not to mention the other people that were also found murdered on their stomachs as well.
I know, and
inside the house.
He had to go from floor to floor. So, there's so many. Everything about it is so cunning, which is characteristic of the demonic.
Now, you've been doing this for a number of years. You and Ed have
over 50.
Over 50 years. Probably I guess I would say probably you guys have probably been doing it longer than anyone out there currently doing it now.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
there's no doubt about that.
And hundreds, thousands. I don't even how many cases off if you're at liberty to say.
Yes, hundreds of thousands. Yes, dear.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine over that span of time how many times you go out. Do you and Ed still actively pursue these cases, or do you leave a lot of those to John Zaffis now? Or
no, we do that, dear.
You still go out?
The thing is, Ed's health doesn't warrant it.
I understand. Is he feeling better?
I'm very happy to have my husband home today, and I'm going to tell anyone who's listening, please pray for my husband.
We definitely will.
I really appreciate that.
We definitely will.
It means so much to me. I still have to do a lot of work with Ed tonight before I can ever go to bed, because normally at 8:30 I do his meds. And then at 9 o'clock I do something else. 9:30 I do something else, and 10 I do the last thing.
Oh Lord.
With Ed. So Ed, there's a lot that has to be done regarding Ed, the nursing of Ed's health. But he is, thank God, doing well. Yes, he is.
That's good. That's good to hear. What did anything come back with you from that house?
Yes. It followed us right to our home the very first night and caused havoc in our home. Yes, it did. It very, very definitely did. It did follow us home. Things follow you home just through the recognition that you give them, and it would be very, very hard to go in on a case like that and not give recognition when you got home. So yes, it did follow us right back here.
Now, I want to branch off the subject of Amityville for just a second, because I never really did get an answer from you last time. We were going into it, and we got carried on to something else. But when we were talking about your faith, being Catholic, you and Ed, and the whole idea of when a human dies, that their soul either goes to heaven, to purgatory, or to hell, and how would you account for human spirits, I guess I can say, being on the... Yes.
That's the purgatory spirit.
Oh, okay. All right. Because we never got into this.
Yeah, that's the purgatory spirit there.
Now,
yes.
Does the Catholic Church...
That's why we pray. From the time I've been a little girl, we pray for the souls of purgatory.
Okay. All right. I'm not Catholic, so I'm not... I'm not...
purgatory spirit stuff.
Okay. All right. So that's how you account for all the human hauntings out there.
The human haunting.
And as far as the rest, I'm assuming you have a breakdown between the human hauntings and then those...
And the inhuman hauntings.
Or the demonic.
Yes, or the poltergeist.
And what would be an example of a poltergeist versus a demonic spirit?
That's usually attributed to a child about puberty. In about 90% of the time, it's a female child. And it's through their anxiety, through their frustrations, the period that they are going through in their lives that seems to attract spirits to them, sometimes even attracting negative spirits to them, and having the movement of objects, the knocking, the pounding, things sometimes getting to the point of levitating, spontaneous fires. All these things fall into the category of poltergeist phenomena.
Now, when was the first time, and I'm sure you remember this, I'm sure I would. I guess if you see it every day, it's not that big of a deal. But for the average person walking down the street, the average Joe, the first time that you encountered something that you saw, maybe you saw someone levitate or saw something, and you said, "This, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw. I can't believe what my eyes just saw."
Oh yeah, that has happened. When you see things like the two sisters in Enfield, England, realize we're involved in the United Kingdom, in Australia, and in Japan, as we are here. So we've been involved all over, in all different. Now, in Australia, there was a case very similar to Amityville.
Really?
In the 80s, yes, there was. And that we were involved in Glaceville, just outside of Sydney. And, but the levitation, one of the strangest cases of levitation, aside from Maurice Serial in Warren, Massachusetts, would be the case in Enfield, England, of the Hodgson sisters. And those two girls would levitate, crisscross in the air, and there is actual film of them doing this.
Oh, you're kidding.
And they would dematerialize. The one girl in particular, Janet, would dematerialize up to 17 and a half minutes. And then she would, when she would come back, she would be in the strangest places, like in a little tiny cabinet, all folded up like a baby in a mother's womb. And
my
yes,
gosh.
that does have a very strange effect on you. And also, to see something dematerialize in front of you, that has a very profound effect on me. In one case, these very heavy doors in a bedroom, they dematerialize in front of me, where you have to really rub your eyes to make sure that that what's going on is really going on to you. And within, not minutes, within seconds, a Catholic priest and the man of the house were in the kitchen. And the man of the house was going to be going downstairs into the basement, into the family room, to get something for the priest. I don't know what it was. And let out a terrible yell. And the doors that had dematerialized where I was had reappeared on the stairs going down.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, these things, they do have a most profound effect on you.
Now, have you ever taken a priest with you that was not experienced in dealing with exorcisms?
Yes.
And
not that we're taking him with us. He would choose to come.
But you understand what I'm saying, though? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
What was their reaction when they saw these things first off?
Their faith is just like ours, is our protection against these very powerful forces. But it depends on the individual, Jay. It really does. Some of them don't handle it too well.
I can imagine.
No, they don't.
That's
like the police officers. They're the worst.
Oh, I can imagine that too. They don't have a training program for that.
No, well, not only that, but you know, most police officers have huge egos.
Oh, yeah.
And they feel that, you know, just their very appearance, their uniform, their badge.
And if needed, they're gone.
They're gone. You know, can help them in any given situation. When they find out it can't, you know, like they see a 90, they see a 350-pound refrigerator turn and move on a 90-degree angle. You know, they think, hey, I don't know what's causing that, but I can't see anything.
Oh yeah, and you know, and these people that see these things, I mean, I'm sure if they're not, you know, if they don't believe in God, they probably learn to really quick.
When I walked in that particular situation with the refrigerator, Ed was already there, and when I walked in with this priest to meet Ed, every one of these policemen, the house was full of them, got down on their knees
and started praying.
Priest blessing. They may have found God fast, you know.
Well, you know,
I mean, they say there's no atheist in foxholes. There's no atheist in truly haunted houses either.
Well, you know, I talked to my uncle. My uncle's a preacher. He's a Southern Baptist preacher. And I asked him, you know, we did talk. I mentioned exorcism and brought that up one holiday season, I guess about a year or so ago. And I said, well, you know, what would you do if you had a person come to you and say, you know, my son, my daughter, whoever is, you know, possessed? I said, and you met this person and you truly believed they were possessed. He said, I don't know. I guess I would call the Catholic Church since such people handle that kind of thing.
Yes, I'm sure the Catholic Church would love to hear that. Because, I mean, he has to believe in the personification of evil if he believes in Christ.
Yeah, and he does, but he just doesn't know what to do.
He doesn't know what to do when it personifies. That was about the best way of putting it.
Yeah, and it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing that,
scary,
especially in the society that we live in, when people don't believe in that kind of thing anymore. I mean, that right there is the ultimate strength of it, you know.
For sure.
Disbelief. I mean, it doesn't matter. You cannot believe something, and it can still be there.
Yes.
So.
Sure. That's right. It sure can.
That's a very dangerous thing.
It is. You have no idea how dangerous, honey.
It's scary. It really is to think about how many people out there.
When you think about it, when you really think about it, it is very, very frightening. Very frightening.
Yes.
You know, and yes, you have to believe. You know, seeing is believing. So you have to believe, but you don't know what to believe in. You know, you may try to find explanations, and there's none possible. You know, so it depends on individuals here. It really depends. I don't know how anybody could do this without faith.
All right, now going back, we'll switch gears again, if you don't mind, and go back to Amityville. I know that house now, today, is still standing.
Yeah, it's still standing.
And
I don't know anything about the people who might live there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know someone does live there, though, on Ocean Avenue, in that house.
Well, you have to remember that just because it has affected one family, although in a case as violent as the hauntings were there, there is no way, absolutely no way, that another family would not be affected. Let me ask you this. Would you ever want to live in a home where all of those people were murdered?
No.
And another family fled? What would be your reasoning for wanting to live in that house?
Well,
what about the night you...
A great real estate price and no fear of that kind of thing would be the only thing I could come up with.
Yeah, but that, you know, it's just too far fetched for me.
I mean, even if you don't believe in that kind of thing, I mean, just the idea behind it and you spending your nights in there.
All right, suppose you're spending the night there alone in that 3-story house. Suppose you be there alone. I mean, you mean to tell me that you wouldn't reflect on some of the things that, or would you want to say that all the people associated with that house and all the researchers and the Catholic priest with his experiences and that we were all nuts? that would be a little difficult, you know.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, we all have our reputation.
Now, did the Catholic Church finally sanction an exorcism of that house?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know, and neither does Father Ray know. Because, you know, he moved on from that after that. He was badly affected by that house.
I know. Well, from what I've read, from what Jay Anson's written.
Oh, a lot more than that, there. He was very badly affected by the home. Very, very badly affected by that house.
And that's how are the Lutz's children doing after that kind of experience?
Well, one of the boys, Chris, he traveled all the way east here just to see Edna and talk to Edna. But it's still, they were little kids.
Yeah.
But it's still affecting their life.
I can imagine. What about the little girl that had her demonic playmate?
Yeah, I can remember just walking along the beach with those children out in California, and not pumping them in any way whatsoever, and having them talk about things, and talk about the things that occurred, and asking us questions, and it was very difficult because you're trying to answer questions to little children and not frighten them, but comfort them, and it wasn't very easy.
I totally understand that. Now, were they Catholic? Were the Lutzes?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Kathy's aunt was a nun.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure she
they
is.
Were Catholic. George was an atheist.
Well, not anymore, I presume.
No, definitely not anymore. No.
Not after the old Amityville thing.
No atheist anymore, dear.
Now, is Ronald DeFeo still alive and in prison now?
Yes. Yes. He's completely whacked out.
Is he?
He has changed his story so many times. It's not funny, It's just bizarre. It's really bizarre, He really has his problems, that man. He looks just like Manson.
That's scary.
Yeah? He's scary.
Do you think that he's still under any kind of demonic oppression?
He could be under oppression. Yes, he definitely could. I would never want to say that he wasn't.
Obviously he was during the murders.
Yes, he had opened up doors prior, and that's what made him vulnerable.
He was on drugs, I assume.
He was on drugs. He tampered with the occult. He had a lot of hate in his heart, for his dad. And there was a lot of things, But I do think that he was influenced to carry out that crime by some demonic force. I do believe that.
Especially the way that the people were executed.
It's not normal. They weren't drugged. None of them were drugged. Nobody in that house was drugged. That's been a proven fact of our investigation. How come everyone were on their stomach? Why?
Yeah.
For what reason was everyone on their stomach? How come he could go from floor to floor and kill these people room to room, and nobody tried to stop him?
Now, I know that this house was supposedly built on an old Native American...
Yeah, not burial ground. It wasn't a burial ground.
It was
an area that the Indians had used like an enclosure where they kept the sick, the mad, and the dying, but it wasn't a graveyard.
Do you think that could have influenced?
Well, if it influenced it, it wouldn't be evil. The Indians weren't evil people, It's just something inhuman, something demonic, something with the wisdom and cunning of the ages had a lot to do with that.
Going back again to Ronald DeFeo. He's you mentioned that he
was in Dannemora. I think they moved him from Dannemora.
All right.
Where he was. I'm almost certain they moved him from Dannemora.
Is he in with other prisoners, or is he in solitary?
Yeah. No. I don't think he's in solitary.
Okay.
I mean, I think birds of a feather like that, they kind of flock them together.
I understand that. I know you mentioned he dabbled around with the occult.
Yes, he did.
No, I know. I talked with another lady up in Salem, Massachusetts. She runs a tour company up there, Molly Stewart. I'd interviewed her weeks ago. I guess, gosh, it's been Halloween. I guess I talked to her roughly around Halloween, and she had told me that the Ouija boards that they were making up there that people would mess with, the original Parker Brothers version, were actually at the time being made in Salem, Massachusetts.
That's what Ed always will say. He'll always ask the university audience, do you know where the Ouija boards are made? And they all come up with Parker. He said, I didn't ask you who. I said,
where?
Yeah, no, it's Salem, Mass.
So let's play around with that some, right?
Right. And they've opened more doors than you can possibly imagine.
That's crazy. And people still play with these things.
All the time. All the time, as many warnings as you can give.
Yeah.
And they're responsible for about 75% of our cases.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What? And I'm still assuming that you still get cases that just seem to pop up out of the blue with no explanation.
Oh my God! Do you have any idea how many cases come in here in a week?
No, I don't. How many?
Oh, yeah, they're coming in from all over here, not just this country.
Now, how do you and Ed make a living?
How do we make a living? Well, we have been university speakers for 34 years. We have 9 books.
I know that, but as far as going out, I assume you do this.
We can't make our living on our investigation.
Yeah, I assume you do that to help the people out. You do that for free.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, yeah, I assume that.
Oh,
and
yes.
I mean that's got to be some really high travel expenses though, to go to all these places.
Sometimes if you're traveling a great distance, you will ask the family if they can put expenses, and because that would make it a little bit easier.
Oh, yeah.
But if they can't, you still have to go.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, you can't say, you can't afford our plane fare? Well, we're not coming. No, you can't do that. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, definitely what you're doing is something that, like I said, very few people can do anymore. And it's,
well, there's a lot of people out there that are claiming to be ghost hunters and all this.
A lot of them are frauds, though.
It's not so much fraud. They have no knowledge, Jay. I mean, if they were ever confronted some of the things that I confronted, what are they going to do? They're going to run with their tail between their legs. Yeah,
they can't measure that with the scientific equipment.
No, that's for sure. That's for darn sure, dear.
Oh, Lord. I know, Steve, I hate to bring this up, because I know you hate talking about it, but Stephen Kaplan, I know a lot of people still believe, a lot of people to this day, they haven't heard the whole story, but they still believe because of that book that he printed, I think it was called the Amityville Conspiracy.
Oh, God, that guy was absolutely too much. That guy publicly apologized to us on so many occasions, and he'd go right back and do something else again.
Oh my God!
He was like a pit bull.
No, he was one of these people that had his own, his own psychic research organization.
Oh, honey.
Or what he claimed was an organization. I think it only consisted of himself, but
it only consisted of himself. I mean, then they were foreclosing on him, and his wife begged my husband not to sue. He said, "Sue? What am I suing you for? I certainly don't want your money." And there was no money. They were taking their refrigerator or something out there. He was just he was a strange guy.
I do want to mention that Ed offered up money for proof.
When it went from $5,000 to $10,000.
So for anybody that had proof that Amityville was a hoax, and no one showed up.
No one.
And I mean, obviously, if someone did know something about it, they would have definitely showed up for that kind of money.
I think so.
I would have if I did.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody would have,
Put your money where
your mouth is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Show up, tell us, show us your proof,
yeah,
and go from there.
Show us what you have. Yeah. that's for sure. Honey, as much as I want to stay with you,
Okay.
I wish I could. I wish I could stay with you a whole other hour.
I understand.
But I can't, dear.
Well, I thank you for coming on
you're
such
welcome.
short notice, and I hope Ed's going to get a lot better.
Thank you, dear.
And I will definitely pray for him and have my listeners do the same if they are of that faith.
That doesn't matter your faith, dear.
Also, I do want to mention one thing before you go, if you have time. How did the Halloween thing go for you guys?
Oh my God, we were going to have a shut off at a certain amount of people. Well, that doubled.
Oh my gosh, well that's great. It went well.
It was an overwhelming success. Thanks, honey.
And
it's held every year.
And do y'all still do tours of your house, of the different things that you put? Yeah, the museum.
Yeah, they're set up as social evenings. Yes, we do.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Now, anybody that wants information can get it at www.warrens.net. Lorraine, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, my love.
I do appreciate it so much, and I hope to see you and Ed soon.
Oh, thanks so much, honey.
All right, thank you.
Good night, my dear.
Good night. Bye-bye.